Everyone out there is offering a golf ball that's got some tech, visual tech on it. Look, TaylorMade, I'm a TP5X guy. You know that by now if you've been subscribing and watching the channel. But what about the visual tech that we see on all these golf balls? Even in my hand now, I've got the TP5X Pix. We're going to talk about it a little bit more. I've got just the straight up TP5X, which is nice to play. And then I've got the TP5X Stripe. Came about from Dustin Johnson. I told you the story, dive into that video if you haven't heard it. Absolute great golf ball. But which one of these do we play for our eyes to give us the best results just here on the putting green? And are there other areas in the overall game of golf that we should be considering a certain design to help us as players? Now look, I harp on about it all the time because it's important. You've got to capture your data. So you can do your own tests with this where you can really find out what golf ball works for you. Yes, you can do it on a putting green. We're here at Full Swing today. We're going to be hitting putts on the virtual green. But if you can capture your data over a period of time, then you're going to be better placed to answer these questions. As it comes for me, I use Clipped. I've talked about it before. There is an enhanced putting feature that I absolutely go in and look at the filter for how each golf ball works. It shows me that my pace control can actually change from week to week, but also how I read putts. So I get it, you might not be fortunate enough to own something as awesome as this to do your testing, but on the same note, we need you to capture some form of data to figure out what works best for your game. Now, tour players, let's start there. I'm holding two putters that I want to talk about first. One of them is a faithful of mine. It's a truss that has a single line on the back in the flange. Detail, small detail. So you might be a blank golf ball guy or girl that then puts a Sharpie line down the golf ball. And you look to align that Sharpie line with that putter and then go from there. Or, having worked with Dustin a lot on putters, I realized that him, John Rahm, Jason Day, three of the best in the game, all like a blank top. I couldn't handle a blank top. I learned that my eye couldn't work with that, but I was good with the True Path on this Spider, which is the version, this is Spider X or Spider Tour. It's going to be what Scotty Scheffler uses currently, Rory McIlroy uses, and this has got just the blank line with the infinity pool going over the top. But I found that worked for me, and I'm going to get into as to why as we hit some putts. So for today's example, just to show off the tech here, I've got a 2% slope on a right to left putt. The way this works is this is going to be our guideline to get you in the hole, and then the straight line is going to be the pace. It's a fantastic training tool. But 12 feet picked for a reason. At the Kingdom, we go between 12 and 15 as we go through this test for tour players. And we put them down with different alignment tools on top of the putter, and then we'd compare it to the golf ball. What we're trying to calculate from that, and you can see it here with the first up, which is the line on the golf ball. First off, it's very easy for me to line that down my intended start line as I have this tech that's over the top of me. Then providing, and I'm going to say like it's how my eyes orientate to the golf ball, but the parallax of my eyes, providing when I put that down and I step into the putt, everything looks in line. So the line out the back of the putter, the line through the golf ball. Now the reason I touch on this, I'm stood below the ball here. I'm on a 2% slope. We know it from aim point, we can feel it. That then plays around with the visuals of how your eye gets into the golf ball. You're not always going to have this fantastic tech that's here on the visual alignment of how my body stands, on the ball position. It's just not going to be the case on the golf ball. So you need to then understand, how do my eyes work each day? And my first call out would be, if you're going to go with a straight line that is precise as that, then one, you better be good at reading the greens and setting your start line. You better have an understanding of aim point and what a 2% slope looks like. Again, in my data, I know I underread putts all the time with an aggressive pace. So that's a conflict when it comes to getting the read and the pace right. But on the same note, if you can understand that you can marry up the two and get this working, this could be to your advantage. But hopefully this is painting the picture as to you have to capture data. I can't tell you straight out the gate that this is right for you. Now, I've had conversations with Ricky Fowler where if you feel one day that your eye line is off, but you know your alignment is correct, and Justin Rose has been the same, do you then overrule it and go with the line on the golf ball because you know it's right, or do you go with your instinct and your feel? And I can tell you now that most of us out there as we putt, certainly better players, you're going to be seeing the release of the putter, and as you go onto various measuring tools, you will see quite often that you aim right as a right-handed golfer and you over-release the face. So you would see a negative at impact. I don't want you to worry about that. That's generally how we putt as golfers, as we try and get the putter going down the line. So the line for me is quite restrictive. If you struggle with read, you can use it, but it's a tough one to get exact because we spend too much time getting the two of them married up, working on the fact that our head is over the putter, and then rocking it down to ensure that everything is exactly acute, and it can bring it into being too narrow-minded, too tough, and too difficult. So then, if we go just for feel, you can go straight with a white golf ball that's blank, you can put nothing down on top, and you can then just feel the putt going in, rather than get so convinced in the area that we are here and so granular. Now you can get more external. And for me, as a player coming away from it and looking at it to get the best data, the best tour players, when they get external onto what's going on, meaning that they're out there into how this putt is going to get made and focusing more on that task, they generally have a little bit more success than golfers who just get caught inside as to what's going on right here with the face when it comes to alignment. So that would be the blank golf ball, not getting too caught up in it, or if you know that your data works, when you do get really down in the weeds. So next up is stripe. Great one to talk about next for two reasons. Now, I like this golf ball when it comes to putting because, yes, as a training tool, it gives you the line, it gives you the read. So if you place it down and you get the stripe just like that, and then you line up your putter, then all of a sudden, you can get a true understanding as to how good is my roll. And you can see on that one, it came out with a little bit of wobble to it. So we're looking for the pure roll. That one's much purer, end over end. I will make this putt in a minute, bear with me, we'll see to the end how many I actually make on this. But you can see the stripe going end over end. Now, I've changed to the Spider Tour putter. I told you it has the True Path on there. If I tend to use this golf ball, because it's got the thicker stripe on it, I like putting in the True Path behind it because that then marries it up exact distance. And that was the whole purpose of the design. Now, if potentially you get conscious that you're going to hit the first putt like the one I did, obviously the roll isn't great. That might be an issue to you. If you put the golf ball down that you can see directly over the top, I called this out before as like an R2-D2 type appearance. Now if you put your eyes over the ball and you could see the same amount of golf ball cover either side of the stripe, then you know you're good. Get yourself external, meaning we're only thinking about what's going on outside. I'm playing stripe for the next 6 months. Then you basically can work on doing that. Now with this golf ball, other areas I like it, is you bang it on a tee, and certainly for me, who gets a little steep, gets the driver coming down, ball starts left and cuts a little bit, if I then place the stripe down to the right of the target, then I can easily follow that visual with the driver, where you obviously have golf ball in hand when you tee it up, see the golf ball go down the right and turn over. So I do like it for that. The other great area, which to be fair spins us into the picks and is the golf ball that I'm currently using, is just how visual this is. Yeah, it's fun, but on the same note, you know it's serious based on the history of players that have played it. Easily identifiable in the fairway, which I like. I know which golf ball is mine. So we know it has that clear path alignment. It's not as obvious as the stripe, which I like because it means that if you do set it up with the TaylorMade down at the target, you can get some feedback, but you're not as caught in the detail, you're not as hooked up with the internal. Again, I'm talking about internal, external. Internal being what's going on here around the golf ball, and external being trying to actually make the putt. But how I use it, which is a way against, again, if I'm putting with a stripe, I go for the top, the R2-D2. How I do it with this, I just take the black little picks and I put the line down that it's perpendicular to where the face of the putter would go, and then I know roughly I'm in a good spot, and I just focus my eyes on that top pix, and it gives me, this putter's going in cute, and it gives me the ability then to just hit that putt and be free. You can see here what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be free when I putt. I have gone and tested before the line and felt too locked into this, felt too caught in having to put an individual line of the putter to marry up to that line. It was a hassle to put the line on eventually. Spoke to Ricky Fowler about that exact question and said, what do? Do you trust the line or do you trust the feel? He likes to trust the line. For me, I would always like to trust where the feel is. I'm not practicing every single day like Ricky. So that went out for me. Then I just went blank area on the white ball and didn't see great results. Saw an inconsistency. Again, this one I like as a stripe, but it makes me fairly subconscious of if I don't get the pure roll down there, which is nice for practicing, but if I don't get it in a group and the thing's wobbling all over the show like an egg on stilts, then that isn't exactly where you want it to be. Like, that's a decent roll, so I've got to be happy with that, haven't I? But it's not the right read. Whereas with this one, at the moment, this is where I'm happiest. I don't use that clear path that is on there, but I do put it down with one of the pixes on the top. It allows me to focus just on the golf ball, not get too internal, get into the putt, see the line, roll it down there, and get results that we need. So you can see why that's the golf ball I'm into. And to be fair, we're probably in putter change number 764 of the season, but I will say in my defense, whenever I change putters Q, it's only between 1 of 3. You've seen that on all the videos, you guys can get me with that. So, comment below if you think you'd have made more putts than me in that attempt to show you that, which you probably would, but that's how I go about the testing, and I back up all the data with clipped and filter when I change the golf ball, which one I do, what method I'm doing, I get in the notes. Look, it's an effort, but at the end of the day, if you want to get better and find out what works for you, you do need to capture that. There is a reason in my mind, being as close as I am to TaylorMade and as close to Mike Fox and the guys who make these great golf balls, there is a reason that we're seeing more and more of this. Yes, people want to be individual. Of course, there's the Tour stripe as well that comes on the Tour Response golf ball line, which has more color than this. If you want to get even more individual, no problem. I do think there's huge benefits to off the tee to this. Right now, I'm living in this world, but it's definitely one of these two. And these, having been so long that I've been away from just a clear blank white golf ball, has kind of become a little boring and not the signature to what I want to do. So comment down below which golf ball you play and why, and if there's anything you want to know about that type of golf ball you play and how maybe you can practice with it to better your game, or in tournament play, what I might do with that ball to give me a bit of an advantage over my opponent.